There we go. Sometimes it takes a try or two to get Umineko to actually capture. Oh. Took a day off yesterday. God, I'm so tired. I don't know why. Being an adult sucks sometimes. Alright. So I want to resume episode 3, because I put it up for too many days in a row. And then just play some more CDDA, which is at a very interesting point in the current run. See what I mean when we get there. So just to recap, since it's been a few days, I need to remind myself here as well. Ava just solved the epitaph. And now we have Ava Beatrice. Whatever that means. Rosa and Maria are dead. Also that might matter more. No, they're both pretty important. They don't show up here yet, surprisingly. I guess because no one's found them yet, huh? Give it time, they'll show up eventually. Hi, Yuzu. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, please. Cat jumped off my keyboard over here, which is really not in a good place yet. You know, you can see it around the corner there. She almost made it like tilt over and knock onto the floor. I was just trapped in bed in general this morning. Could not get up for the life of me. It's all depend. That's me. I'm just gonna walk. Don't mind me. I'm struggling. Woo. Looks like she's finally calmed down. Hideyoshi wiped his own forehead. For a time, Ava seemed to be having a very painful nightmare, but it appeared she finally fell asleep. As promised, he still gripped Ava's hand. He thought it might be time to let go pretty soon, but he faithfully continued to hold on. Every once in a while, his hand would get tired, and he would switch between his right and his left. But even so, as promised, he didn't let go of her hand. At that time, there was a heavy knock. Ava had finally been able to fall asleep, so Hideyoshi grimaced for just an instant. Naki? Hideyoshi-san? Sorry. Is Rosa there? It was Rudolph's voice. What could it be? Hideyoshi headed for the door, hiding his footsteps so that he wouldn't wake Ava. The reminder, Rosa went outside with Maria, like, in secret to essentially get her to shut up about the rose, pretty much. It was definitely Rudolph's voice, but just in case, he opened the door without removing the chain. What is it? Something happened to Rosa-san? We can't find Rosa or Maria-chan. I thought they might be with you. I heard her scolding Maria-chan in the corridor. They got quiet after that, so I thought they'd gone back to the lobby. But did they? That idiot. Rudolph clicked his tongue. Other people could be seen in the corridor, holding guns. Rosa hadn't returned for a while after going out to the corridor, so they began to worry. I wish they'd just call it a hallway. Honestly. Near the front door, Natsu pointed at the unset chain. The chain isn't set. They must have gone outside to see that rose after all. Extraordinarily careless to go out and leave the door unlocked. What a troublesome person. I'm more worried about Rosa and Maria-chan themselves. Right. I don't think shotguns work on witches. I think we've seen proof to that. Hey, brats. Where was this Rosa Maria's? I'm pretty sure it was in the flower right in the middle of the rose garden. If that's where they are. We should be able to spot them pretty quickly if we go. You see, her mistake was not giving Maria the gun. They're real. Dad, shouldn't we bring them back here as soon as we can? Of course. We'll bring them back and give them a good spanking. I'll dash out there and come back. Lock the door as soon as I go out. Dad, I'll go with you. Don't be stupid. It's obviously a brat's job to watch over the house with Mama. Okay, Rudolph. What is it? Something happened? Sorry, did I wake you up? It seems Rosa-san took Maria-chan outside. I rackled supper. Because we have an alibi for Ava. We know she's been in this room. She's been in this room with her husband the whole time. So that's weird. So, what does the magic scene mean? Was Ava actually the killer there? I mean, I guess to be fair, she killed him a bunch of times, then Beatrice showed up and delivered the final blow. But what's the difference between Beatrice and Ava Beatrice, right? a lot of questions, How much of it are you supposed to really read into? Rose and Maria-chan are outside? In the rose garden? At this time of year? That's right. Oh, did you hear? Maria-chan was causing a ruckus because she wanted to see this rose. They mustn't. They mustn't go to the rose garden. Tell Rosa to stop. There's no telling her to stop now. It's like they left a while ago. Seriously, how reckless of them. Something in my eye. It's not it. Not the rose garden. There's a witch there, and she's waiting for a sacrifice. Rosa, you mustn't go. Whoa. Hold on. I'll get whatever it is out of there eventually, I'm sure. Whoa. I think it's good. Ava cowered again, holding her head. Her complexion looked very bad. Nice descriptor. What is it? Did the fever make you dream something bad? It's a dream, yes. In the rose garden, the witch doing that to Rosa and Mara-chan. That's right. It's a dream. It must be. Calm down. I'm here in this room. And the chain is set. The shutters closed to the window, and we've even got a gun. Weird dream last night. It was like this mobster guy who got like a redemption story in the end. Like, I was the main character in like a story, and like I beat him up. And like I had the choice to like shoot him or spare him, and like I spared him. Then he went to like apologize to his mother or something, I think. And became a good guy. I don't know what all that was. It sounds really bad when I explain it, but it was surprisingly like engaging and dramatic for like a dream. This room is just like a fort. It's a closed room. There's nothing to be afraid of. Closed rooms are definitely invincible in this. Hideyoshi beat his chest, trying to calm her, but Ava's insecure expression didn't change. Gorilla husband. Under the covers, Ava kept praying that the grotesque nightmare she just had was only a dream. In reality, it was just a really long black screen. In the center of the rose garden, Rudolph identified the corpses of Rosa and Maria. After that, he returned to the guest house, called for help, and carried both of them into the guest house. I appreciate you speeding this up. If we can trust Nanja's examination, the cause of Rosa's death was a stab to the medulla oblongata with a point gate at the fence. It is thought that Maria's death was due to strangling with bare hands. However, due to the devil's proof, we cannot discount a misdiagnosis. I will say it in red. Oh, hold on, let me get my TXT up. Okay. Rosa and Maria died. The causes of death were as Nanjo diagnosed. Okay, let me add this. Okay, so this we have so far. Second Twilight. Beatrice. Rosa and Maria died. The causes of death were as Nanjo diagnosed. And in parentheses, I'll put Rosa died hence stabbing. Maria was not mentioning the medulla oblongata because I don't feel like spelling it and because I don't think it really matters. She wasn't eaten by a spider, nor was she crushed by a mountain cake. Don't worry. So you argue that even though you toyed with her death so much, it's all fine because the corpse is neat and clean? I definitely won't forgive you. I definitely won't forget all that brutal treatment you gave Aunt Rosa. So I won't forgive you. Yeah, so it seems like Beatrice kind of stepped in at the end to like appease Battler because Ava Beatrice was being too harsh. But like I said, that wasn't me. I believe I gave them a much more peaceful death than the way she treated them. Shut the hell up. I'm not talking to you. It was stated that there are no more than 18 people on this island. Now that 8 people are already dead. Yeah, 6 then too. We can narrow the field of suspects down to 10. One of them probably killed those 2. Or could it also be an accidental death? Like Mario was having a tantrum, and when Aunt Rosa tried to stop her crying, she misjudged how much power she was using and accidentally killed her. Then she was so upset that she slipped and fell, landed on the fence, and unluckily died. Having a hard time picturing that. How's that? That way there's no need for a witch or magic. Well, that's not quite true. Actually, Rosa and Maria... Shut up. And I say I wasn't talking to you. You're an eyesore, so disappear. You monster. Battler said that without rage, but with a horribly cold voice. That strange behavior was something Beato had noticed right off the bat. In a fight, both of them could go at each other without restraint. However, he wouldn't even step into the ring. Yep, it's been said and read that Maria was troubled. She could feel that coldness. Beato didn't find that amusing. She thought about flaring up, but she held back. Maybe even though she was innocent and childish, she had enough sense to realize that she shouldn't pick fights. Is that so? Then I'll vanish. Run away, continue for me. Certainly. Will that be satisfactory, Battler somehow? There are no problems with her proposal. If Battler-kun doesn't want to see Beato's face, perhaps that will do. Do what you like. If I can live without seeing that monstrous face, I don't care about anything else. Hey, wait a second. You keep saying monster, monster, but isn't that a cruel way to speak of me? Why do you instinctively hate me so much, Battler? We've had 2 other games where you've killed his whole family. What do you mean? Even though none of that was me this time. Even though it was all the work of my disciple. It's not like I'm only mad about what happened just now. It's been like that from the very beginning. Hey, Battler, don't misunderstand, okay? Aren't we just a pair of players confronting each other through a game? We look for moves to make things painful for each other, but don't get the wrong idea. I don't hate you because you're my rival in this strange game about whether I accept you as a witch or not. I just can't forgive how senselessly cruel you are. Well, serial murders are a part of this game. It's probably impossible to avoid a little cruelty. I'm not just talking about what just happened. It was the last time, and the time before that too. Tearing everyone's stomachs open and stuffing them with sweets, allowing their faces. What was the point of all that? That's, well... When it comes to closed room murders and tricks and alibis, I'm willing to give you a pass. If you want to claim that this is a murder done by magic, so I'll grudgingly accept that those complicated crimes need to occur. But what exactly is the point of all those grotesque murders? Well, nothing much. That's right. They don't mean anything. You're just fooling around and mangling the corpses for fun. It has nothing to do with whether you're a witch or whether it could or couldn't be done with magic. You're just exploring the depths of cruelty for fun. Well, it's tagged with horror on Steam. Gotta fulfill it. This isn't about whether you're a witch or anything like that. There are just some things I can't forgive as a human. What do you mean, as a human? For example, the 6 people the first Twilight for this game. Well, other than Grandfather being burned black, the other corpses were killed in a normal way, without any unnecessary shaming of the dead. It wasn't clear whether the weapon was a spear or a gun, but anyway, as far as killing goes, that was acceptable. It was much better than the nonsensical grotesqueness and cruelty from the first Twilight last time, or the time before that. Like I mentioned, I'm gonna give this hint, there was a reason why Kinzo was burnt. He has to be burnt. And this time, there were 6 closed rooms tied together to make a closed room chain. It was sort of interesting. When we were going back and forth with each other that time, to be perfectly honest, I thought it was just a little fun. You were frantic to make me accept your existence, and I was frantic trying to deny it. We were both frantically doing all we could. This may sound weird, but I felt a faint sense of sportsmanship between the 2 of us. We exist in conflict, but I faintly thought that we might not be completely unable to understand each other's existence. But just now, that feeling was blown away without a trace. That's what you're misunderstanding. That wasn't me. That's not it. That's not what I'm talking about. You watched Aunt Rosa being killed horribly over and over. You sneered at it like it was an interesting show. When I saw that, I was deeply disappointed in you. When I realized that your decision to kill them in a slightly better way this time was nothing more than a faint whim, and that nothing had changed in your cruel character, I was deeply disappointed. On the contrary, you were even genuinely enjoying those brutal deaths. You weren't just acting as cruel as you could to bully me. You truly, genuinely enjoy cruelty. Your character lets you enjoy it. She has a killer instinct. You said I'd probably think that Aunt Rosa being brutally killed over and over was fun. You weren't joking. You enjoyed it from the bottom of your heart, wanted me to sympathize, and said that I'd probably think it was fun. Battler has the masochist trait, though. In that instant, I lost respect for you and realized the truth. The problem isn't whether you're a witch or not. I will not forgive that cruelty of yours. I can't understand it. I can't forgive it either. Still, I'll continue this game of whether to accept or deny witches. I won't step down and accept my own defeat. However, your pointless cruelty is absolutely unnecessary for that game. So I decided that I won't accept you as my opponent. Runabe is 100 times better. He doesn't have the same cruel hobby you do. No, he just hasn't been on the board killing people. You don't know that. Who knows what's in those cookies? Even if he does, he doesn't have the awful taste to show it off in front of me. There you go. That's right, you have awful taste. You're heartless and cruel, so you can't understand. That's unpleasant in an opponent. So I don't want to see your face again. As Battler went on and on by himself, Beto was shocked into silence for a long time. Maybe she couldn't understand what she was being told, and this was a sign that she was doing all she could in an effort to understand. For a while, she kept switching between angry expressions, frustrated expressions, bold expressions, as though even she herself didn't know what attitude she should take. In the end, she made her face into a candid expression, as though she'd come to her senses, and shrugged her shoulders as though she was tired. I give up. In that case, do as you like. From now on, I'll continue this game through Runaway. You have no complaints as long as I don't shout myself, right? For the time being. But I definitely won't forgive all your cruel actions up until now. I definitely won't accept you. For that reason as well, I won't back down from this fight you picked. I definitely won't lose. That's all there is to it. And we never saw Beatrice again. Beato, no matter how many more excuses you give, his impression will not waver. I have something to talk about later. Until then, stay back. Indeed. Understood. Then I'll vanish until your call. Looking lonely, Beato turned back to them and vanished. Bowler watched, a slightly displeased expression on his face. He thought his argument had been valid, but for some reason, his mood didn't clear up. She's an idiot. That's true. Said and read. An idiot and a straightforward one. That idiot watched Aunt Rosa get killed horribly with me, and turned around with a huge smile on her face. She really believed that she could laugh with me at that cruel show. She really believed that I could sympathize with that emotion. Looking at that innocent smile, I felt just horrible. It would have been much better if she'd said it with her normal bullying face. Damn it. My lady has never had the experience of having a friend. In addition, she's probably never had something spoken to her that strongly. Madam and I are her attendants. No matter what we say, it will not reach her ears. For my lady, this is also... Don't screw with me. I don't remember ever becoming her friend. That's true enough. My apologies. There is one thing I would like to thank you for. Thank you for not backing down from that child's game. She spoke words of gratitude, but for some reason, Bauer made a displeased face. Then, as though in self-derision, he chuckled. Now that I've even got witches and demons thanking me, I'm screwed. Let's resume the game. Of course, I don't intend to go easy on you. I wouldn't have it any other way. Unlike my lady, I do not get agitated. I've already made my move. If it's supposed that Aunt Rosa is the culprit and died in an accident, I can deny the witch. I don't want to suspect Aunt Rosa, but I think I can bear to accept that premise if it'll beat the hell out of Beato. I will deny it with red. Rosa's and Maria's deaths were homicides. Alright. Runaway. Rosa's and Maria's... wrote Marissa's. Deaths were homicides. Okay. Updated. Okay. Let's start from there. Damn, I'm just not getting fired up. No, I want to see more of that conversation. Wait. I think we'll get back to it eventually. With Rosa's and Maria's deaths, it was now clear that the culprit was still hiding somewhere, trying to add even more murders to this chain. As he shed tears, Pop scolded Rosa's corpse for being reckless several times, but Rosa would never respond to that again. They decided to place the two corpses in one of the guest rooms and to seal it until the police arrived. The second murder? No, the murder of the second Twilight had delivered a heavy blow to everyone. It blown away the optimism that some of them had held, the thought that a crime didn't actually occur, and it was all a game or a farce by Kenzo and the servants. Trying to distract themselves from the loss of the people they liked, George and Jessica had spent the whole time since morning talking about every possibility. And they distracted their hearts by supposing that these murders might actually have all been an act, and that Shannon and Cannon were only pretending to be dead. No, they're not talking about Rosa, they're talking about the servants. When the next murder occurred, it destroyed that thought, and they were once again struck by the fact that the person they liked... how kind of them. And they'll wait, person, so only Mario, only one of them, not people. The person they liked had most definitely been killed, and Aunt Rosa too. The tears that they thought had died away began to drip down again once more, and Bauer couldn't think of anything to say to them. That's some really funny wording there. After that, all the adults checked that all the rooms were safe and locked, just in case. They made certain that the shutters and all the windows were down and locked, and they confirmed that no one suspicious was hiding anywhere. On top of that, they checked their weapons once again, and checked with each other to make sure they were mentally prepared so that they wouldn't hesitate to fire off a preemptive shot if they saw the shadow of a mysterious person. Rosa's gun had been found near the scene of the crime. Someone had gone out of the way to leave it there, so everyone suspected that it was some kind of trap. But when Hideyoshi dedicatedly used a fire iron to fire off test shots, it was able to discharge without incident. So the gun works. He just didn't use it. So, since the 5 shots loaded into it had discharged without any problems, they reloaded it with the bullets and handed it over to the only adult male who wasn't armed, Hideyoshi. However, the fact that it had been able to fire off 5 live shots gave rise to a certain paranoia. Nope, Meta Battler cannot insert himself. It's kind of like blurry how sometimes Beatrice does. I'm not even really sure you could call that the same Beatrice inserting herself. Beatrice's case is really, really weird. I believe kind of how it works is that there's like a role, essentially game master, and that gives her that privilege, that lets her do that. But I don't believe anyone else outside the board can. This kind of like game master and all this stuff, this does actually get explicitly referred to and explained later on. This isn't just like my interpretation, this is like mechanics that I'm almost spoiling by talking about, but it'll come up. And there's also a certain role inside the board that's very important. And no, it's not imposter. This short barrel Winchester could only hold 5 shots. In other words, Rosa hadn't fired even once. And yet, the 2 had probably been killed by someone with their bare hands. This meant there was a possibility that the crime had been committed by someone whose face they knew. When the first murder occurred, I privately thought of the possibility that it was an odd act. My apologies to Dr. Nanja, but if it had actually been an accomplice, I thought the deaths of all the servants might possibly have been a massive, elaborate act by Father. After all, the closed room situation they were in couldn't have been created unless we suppose that it was an odd act. I don't mean a certain person, I mean a certain role. Right now, Battler's in that role, in the board. Battler's in a special role on the board. There's something special about Battler inside the board, even in the first game, that sets him apart from all the other characters. We also suspected that. No, I still want to believe that's the case. You're probably chef. My apologies, but that is not so. I'm quite old. I might possibly make a misdiagnosis. However, I would never mistake whether they were alive or dead. I get it. Don't go out of your way to say it out loud, Dr. Nanjo. My apologies. Poor Dr. Nanjo. I love Dr. Nanjo. They had no way of knowing, but Beato had already used the red to proclaim the deaths of the 6. No, the deaths of all victims so far in this game. That faint dream that it was all a farce, that the victims were actually alive, I'm sorry to say it, but that's impossible. Reminder that if we go back to the first Twilight's red text, I believe that ended in a draw because Battler supposed that one of them in the closed room died in accident after killing the other 5, basically. And Beatrice was starting to say all the deaths were a homicide. She was probably going to try to say it in red, but Runaway stopped her. So we're kind of like at a standstill on the first Twilight, but right now Battler's kind of winning there. We don't know what's happening with the second one because that got cut off, annoyingly enough. In that case, it makes more sense to assume it's someone familiar with the mansion, someone hiding around and carrying out a really well-polished crime. So, ever since the typhoon came to this island and sealed it off from the outside world, there's been more than 18 people here. Of course, there was no way for them to know about that either. That claim of Rudolph's had also been denied in red. There are no more than 18 humans on this island. I might have a way to look at it that keeps things consistent, at least a little. Simply put, this person in hiding is someone who shouldn't really be on this island right now. And yet, there's a likelihood that they were someone that Rosa-san knew, someone she'd let her guard down around. So for example, could it be a servant who wasn't on this 2-day shift? It's hard to be certain about that one. When our servants finish their work and leave the island, it isn't as though we punch their ticket or something to make sure. If we're supposing that a servant on a shift from a few days ago, they pretended to leave the island and actually stayed here, that would be hard to deny. Yeah, you could just tell, like, the boat person is going to drive you back. Hey, actually, things changed. I'm going to be working an extra 3 days or something like that and staying here, and they'd believe the servant probably, and they wouldn't mention anything to the family. They're just like doing their job kind of outside of all this. So that seems pretty viable. At what point should you watching the anime? You put up an episode list. The anime is split into 4 parts. So just like there's 4 episodes in the first type of Umineko. So you want to go to you can watch up through episode 15, then stop. Because 16 is what we're doing right now. There you go. So we've covered the first 15 episodes of the anime so far. Out of probably 24? 26. So we're over halfway through, as you'd expect, because we're on episode 3 of the VN, of course. I don't think Rosa-san is such a fool. If a servant who wasn't supposed to be here popped up in front of you, who wouldn't be on their guards? I'm not even sure we should be assuming that it was someone she recognized. Maybe they suddenly attacked Rosa from the darkness and were about to steal her gun. Then Rosa fell, hit her head against the fence, and stopped moving. I still don't know. I swear the fence in the anime was, like, pretty tall. Like, around, like, person height or taller. I don't know about this whole slitting of the fence thing, but we can't really say anything because of the nature of the VN, I guess. I don't think it's really said how tall the fence was. Guest house was nearby, and they wanted to avoid the sound of gunfire. So they killed Mara-chan with their bare hands. There's also that possibility. Still, even if that is the case, would they really intentionally leave Rose's gun at the scene of the crime? Yeah, they didn't even loot the corpse. They definitely pulped it, though. We don't know what the culprit's armed with, but they've got to feel insecure about our guns. Wasn't that a perfect chance for them to thin out our supply? Why would they intentionally leave it at the scene of the crime? At first, I thought that gun was a trap. That's what chessboard thinking says it should be. But by purposefully leaving it, they wanted to make one of us touch it. And they must have wanted to make us pull the trigger. I was sure that something dangerous had been done to it. It could explode and cause massive injuries. But it was actually okay. The culprit probably panicked. I'll bet that right now, they regret that they missed their chance to steal a gun. I don't like it. It ticks me off, but it's a message, like it's a message from the witch saying she's not scared of guns. However, in any event, this is truly a fearsome opponent. Even at a glance, they should have been able to tell that Rosa had a gun. To think that they attacked her despite that? The fact that they're unafraid of guns should not be taken lightly. Indeed, it says not, so he says, we should probably be even more cautious than we have been. This is just for peace of mind, but at the time we think Rosa-san was attacked outside, where was everyone? Natsu and I were here, along with Rudolph and Kiriya-san. I can guarantee their alibis. Eva and I were together. I can guarantee that. George, Aniki, Jessica, and I were together. When Aunt Rosie yelled at us to return to the second floor, we retraced our steps back to the classroom, all dejected. Back then, if we hadn't let Maria go, saying that isn't going to change anything. Dr. Nanjo? I was reading a book in a room on the second floor. I was by myself, so no one can verify my alibi, but I believe everyone saw me return to the second floor with the children. Once I say this, it'll never end. But what if you jumped out the window, attacked Rosa, then climbed back up using a rain gutter or something? Don't be absurd. How could I perform a feat such as jumping down from the second story or climbing up with this old body? Let us stop suspecting each other. It's more important that we trust each other, and, for the children's sakes as well, defend this place until the very end. You're right. It's like Natsuki-san says. For now, let's stop suspecting each other. Apologize to Dr. Nanjo. That's right. We may be useless as far as searching for the culprit is concerned. We can only stay alive until tomorrow, inform the police, and follow their instructions. Because the police will definitely expose who the culprit is. I will say it in red. The police will not expose who the culprit is. They can't. There's a reason why they can't. What is it, Ava? Is your body still feeling bad? Mother, what's wrong? Are you okay? Sorry. It looks like my fever's still strong. I'll be fine, so leave me alone. You know what? Here's something fun. I'll give some hints here. There is a reason why Enzo's corpse is burned whenever he is killed. The police will not be able to figure out the culprits once they arrive. Here. I'm gonna put some hints from me up at the top. Yeah, that's organized a bit better now. The sequels, Christ specials. Were those like short anime specials or something? Hold on. I don't think those were anything important, but let me go look real quick. So these were like parody dubs, so they're kind of useless. They took like footage and like spliced it up and just said funny things on it. Bombs? The answer is always bombs. Sorry. Yeah, it's something like an official bridge thing. Obviously, it's not canon because it's anime only, and the anime already messes up some stuff. So it's just a for fun thing. And similarly, there is a VN that comes out later. I think it's Hane, that has like some. It's basically a collection of like short stories from Umineko. Some of them are canon and give hints, and some of them are just like joke stories. So there is something kind of similar for the VNs, I guess. I'll just finish this because it's kind of cool. Oh, there's a bit of sugar at the bottom. Ugh. Okay. Looks like my fever is still strong. I'll be fine, so leave me alone. Should probably get rid of the red truth. When they looked, they saw Ava staring at the floor, her breathing harsh again. She had been able to act firm for a time, due to the urgency of their situation, but it seemed her body wasn't at its best after all. Yeah, I killed those two. Now we're the only ones who know about the gold. I won't give up even a scrap to the other siblings. What have you done? There was so much of that gold, right? Who's talking here? Giving Rose and the others their share wouldn't have been a problem at all, right? Oh, it's like real Ava talking to Ava inside her head, which is now a witch. That's right. It would. That gold is to be passed on only to the head of the Ishida family. That's because it, as a whole, represents no more or less than the honor of the head. To wound that even a tiny bit is definitely not something that I, the new Golden Witch Beatrice, will permit. Ah, do you plan to continue these murders according to the witch's epitaph? You actually plan to become a murderer 5 more times? Yeah, if I don't finish that annoying ceremony. It seems my power as a witch won't become complete. Hey, me. The power of the witch is really awesome. It really can make all the crazy things we imagine become reality. The power to make dreams more than just dreams. Now that I've learned this power, I can no longer stop being a witch. Hey, if I can finish the ceremony and make my power complete, I'm sure I'll be able to teach you that feeling too. Stop acting like a fool. And fool. Ava. You went to school. Haven't you played at being a witch enough? We found the gold, and we've even been promised the position of the successor. We'll probably need to tightrope walk just a bit, but by now, that's a dream that'll definitely come true. Beyond that, what more could you wish for? I wanted to become a witch. I don't give a damn about that dream. That's alright. Or rather, that's right. Because I kept holding on to that dream, I've lived at this age forever. When you became an adult, you threw that dream away. The typo definitely isn't intentional. It's definitely just an English typo. There have been a lot of typos, a lot of minor ones. It's not the first time I've seen, like, end something before. Or even was it? Hold on. And which? You here? Yeah. No, it's perfectly fine. There's no typo there. No matter how long you wait, the rabbit holding a clock won't visit you. But the translation itself is good, but I notice a lot of minor typos here and there. Sometimes, I've seen a couple scenes that look like they weren't proofread very well because there's like multiple typos in a row even. But it's generally good. It's generally solid. And you won't be able to meet Humpty Dumpty. Of course, you definitely won't be invited to the land of cards. As you gave up and accepted all that, you became an adult. So you don't want to become a witch or anything like that anymore. You've even forgotten that it truly was your own dream at one point. Anyway, stop it. I've already gotten my hands on 2 dreams. The gold and the position of head. That's more than enough. So please, your dream has nothing to do with me. Stand down. No way. Magic's too interesting. Also, those 2 dreams of yours came true because of my magic. It wouldn't be fair if my dream didn't come true too. I'm grateful for your magic and I acknowledge that you're a real witch. So just stand down and return to the inside of my heart. Now you need to acknowledge that she's not a real witch. Otherwise you give her power. And never appear again. No way. We're both misunderstanding each other, aren't we? That's right. I'm not you anymore. You are Ushimira Eva. I'm the Golden Witch, Beatrice. So it's not my responsibility to go back inside your heart. I guess I feel like a butterfly who's broken out of a cocoon, meaning you. The fever is making my mind cloudy. My inexperience with magical powers forcing me support it with your vitality. Look, they're missing a word here, see what I mean? Until I finish the ceremony and become a full witch, you might have to bear the burden. I'll take that as payment for making 2 of your dreams come true. It's fine, don't worry, okay? For the remaining 5 sacrifices, I'll avoid your family. Let's see. Rudolph, Kire, Faust, Natsuhi. After that, what about that old geezer Nanjo? Perfect, I'll kill those 5 people. Could you call this a murder announcement revealed only to you? Eva finally crouched down. Hideyoshi rushed up to her and leaned to her shoulder. Are you okay? Let's take it easy and rest. You're alright. Dr. Nanjo, take a look at Eva. When Nanjo and George tried to approach, Eva made a gesture to stop them. Thank you. I'm fine, Dr. Nanjo. I'm taking medicine. I apologize for saying this during such an extreme situation, but let me rest a little longer. I'll end him too. Thank you, but I'll be fine as long as your father watches over me. Back to the 2nd story cousin room and don't come out no matter what. Understood? No matter what happens, you must not leave the guest house. Outside, that witch will. Ooh. Don't talk anymore. Sorry everyone, but I'll be watching over Eva in our room. Tell us if something happens. Hideyoshi and Eva retreated from the lobby. However, Eva wasn't the only one who wasn't feeling good. They hadn't gotten a wink of sleep since the previous night, and had been pressed by tension since that morning. They were mustering their energy to protect their families, but if they relaxed even a little, surely everyone would be down and out. Would have been interesting to see, like, Umineko from the perspective of, like, what if, instead of doing the arguing, like, it'd been, like, George or Jessica or something, or Eva. But there's a good reason it has to be Valor. Not just because he doesn't believe in witches. Good song. Everything has gone as planned until now, but from here on out, it'll become difficult, you see. Difficult meaning... Indeed. Normally, as the ceremony progresses and the victims increase in number, they begin to tighten their guard. In most cases, they hole up in one place and stop moving. That is extremely inconvenient for us. You're saying that we witches are inferior to a bunch of humans in a group? Witches are never inferior to humans. However, perhaps you could say that times change, and that humans have gotten their hands on poison. This wasn't a problem long ago when people believed in witches. Just like that annoyance battler, people in the current era deny magic on a fundamental level. In other words, their resistance itself is anti-magical. As a result, at some point, they grew to possess a toxin inside their bodies that denies magic. In other words, you're saying that the more humans there are, the stronger the magic-resisting toxin gets, and the greater the disadvantages for us witches. The combined amount of power in their hearts that denies magic. In other words, their magic resistance power becomes the denominator in the equation of your magic's power. Understand? Is that just a bit too difficult for you? You're joking. Actually, I understand it easily. In other words, you're saying that the more people there are who don't believe in magic, and the stronger their will is, the more the effects of our magic are divided. Yeah, if it's so formulaic, I'll have to rethink my method of attack. Fundamentally, magic possesses a vast power. It can either make a rain of fire fall from the heavens or divide a sea, and reviving a lost life isn't impossible either. However, that power is extremely weak against the toxin that rejects it. The toxin started piling up in humans since the time they forgot to respect things sacred, until finally this earth was covered with enough toxin that the miracles of magic could not be displayed. Thus, witches from across the world were chased from their dwellings. They've been forced to choose to throw away their magic and live as humans, or else live in hiding in remote areas where the toxin of humans didn't reach. In that sense, Darkenjima, with its population of only a few dozen humans, was extremely favorable for witches. And even more favorable was the existence of the ghost story about the witch who lived in the Arkanjima forest. In other words, by permeating the island with the fear that a witch might exist, the magic-resisting toxin from the humans was weakened. A small population, and room for them to acknowledge magical beings. In other words, minds that were only weakly anti-magical. Only by existing in the valley where those two converge could a witch live in modern times. You can think about Umineko witches kind of like the whole gods, they need faith. Otherwise, they just have no power, or may even cease to exist. Leave it to Yukishi 7 to make things total like in a story. I see. So, using this formula, we can arrive at several rules for how a witch can use her power efficiently. The first is presentation. Create a murder scene that couldn't conceivably have been done by humans. Decorate it in an occult way. Make it look very much like a witch exists, and permeate people with fear to make them believe that witches exist. As a result, the anti-magic power of the denominator, her magical power will be decreased. I see, so this is why the creepy magic circles of the first Twilight were created? That's right, exactly. The gaudy scenes for the first Twilight in each game are all for that reason. It's definitely not as though I like being cruel or I'm doing it for fun. In that case, predecessor somehow, you failed this time around. You killed them in a very plain way. It doesn't look like anything more than a simple mystery. I heard about last time and the time before that from Runaway. You should have damaged the corpses more grotesquely, like you did then, making it look more like fantasy and instilling fear in those people. Well, about that. I thought it wouldn't be artful to do that every time, you see. Don't think too deeply on it, it's just a whim. Actually, it really had been her whim. After what Battler had said to her, she couldn't say it out loud anymore, but she really had decided her methods of killing based on mere whims. No, would it be better to say that she had half-heartedly let Runaway aside? After all, she left the closed dreams of this game's first Twilight to him. If she had a cruel idea, then she would surely have explored the limits of atrocity even worse than in the previous game. You told me to show some restraint when deciding Rosa and Mari's deaths too. With a smug face. But that wasn't a course of action beneficial to us, witches either, was it? In actuality, by now, none of them believe one bit that a witch actually exists. See, she's handicapping herself this game, that's all. She's making it easier for Battler. It's fine, but, you know, she wants him to keep his heart in the game. She doesn't want him to give up. It's fine. They're totally sure that it's a mystery, not a fantasy. This turn of events is a failure from a witch perspective. For some reason, you keep doing things in a kind of lukewarm way, predecessor someone. But like they say, things you learn when you're young will definitely help you out in the future. This is a test passed on from my predecessor to you. Take it on with respect. Ahahaha. They had to try to laugh heartily. It was obviously the fake laugh of someone trying to cover something up. And the new witch shrugged with a sigh. At this stage, it's probably too late to create a scene and reduce the anti-magic power. In that case, there's another move. Getting the humans to split up should work. Indeed, that is probably the most effective way. The smaller the number of humans, the more the denominator shrinks. As a result, the magic power functions instantaneously. In other words, it all begins from one point. How to destroy this barricade situation and have them split up into small groups. However, they were already very cautious. The barricade won't be destroyed easily, right? Both the barricade in Kinzo's study 2 games ago and the barricade in the parlor last time were very stubborn. Furthermore, most of the cunning adults still remain this time. The situation is more difficult than all the ones before it, understand? If you wish, I could give you some special advice. In a closed circle, when the first murder case occurs, the survivors always hole up, gathering together to observe each other and ensure their safety. Funnily enough, not only do mystery authors and murder culprits worry about how to break that situation apart, but so do witches, who supposedly exist at the other end of the spectrum. For a while, the new witch poked her cheek with her pointer finger, and after acting as though she was planning something, she spoke. No, I'm fine. After all, it is a test. I'll borrow your moves. Really? Still, it'll be rather difficult to defeat this barricade, right? I've already made my move. I'm pretty sure it'll work. And it'll definitely work on someone smart. Is that so? You really are excellent. I'm pleased to see that my disciple won't be causing me much trouble. My motto is to study things myself before asking other people. Then, if you would excuse me, I have to wait for my prey to get lured out. Indeed. Well then, handle it with care. As the new witch lowered her head, her face blank, she turned into gold butterflies and vanished. Beato didn't look happy at all. She seemed to be lonely because of how little she was being relied on. Not one of them gives a fig for me. You witch apprentice acting so smart. Where's this expression from? I'll bet she makes some painful mistake and starts crying. Then, without a doubt, she'll finally realize my greatness and beg me to teach her. Until then, I shall watch from on high. She laughed loudly on the outside, but a laugh no one can hear is completely pointless. Pietro gave up and quickly stopped laughing. But he chose that time to show himself. Excuse me, my lady. The game of the second Twilight with Battlesome has ended. I see. Good work. What was the result? My sincere apologies. I was forced to resign. By saying read that both deaths were homicides, I made Battlesome revise his claim of Rose Strangler death and then died in an accident. But I could not repel his chain of moves, placing Ava as the principal offender. Was Ava sleeping in her room the whole time as Hideyoshi cared for her? He put forward the possibility that Hideyoshi was an accomplice, and that the two worked together to create an alibi. He even suspects Hideyoshi. Could he have struck back by saying in red that he was in the guest room at the time of the murder? I also thought of that, but multiple important pieces might have been taken several moves later. And because this move might be connected to the new Beatrice Summit strategy, I acted out of respect to her. My apologies. Strategy, you say? Her mind does seem to be sharp. We can let her do as she pleases. It'll be quite a show to see how far she can go. I thought you would say that. I said the uncuteness of your disciple has left you in a bad mood. That's none of your business. I wonder how that one plans to destroy this barricade going forward. I shall keep a close eye on her. Oh, and how was Battler's mood? It appeared as though he had calmed himself down. He did say that he couldn't get fired up after all, without you as his opponent. But really? Well, that's no surprise. No surprise at all. If I don't return for the fourth Twilight after, Battler will probably be left lonely himself. And with that, if you would excuse me, I need to go bake some delicious cookies. I must at least enliven the discussion between you and Battler-sama, my lady. Indeed, that guy really was munching your cookies, wasn't he? It's definitely a line. It's no surprise that a boy can eat so much. Make a lot of them. Certainly. I shall make enough cookies to bury the table. That sounds great. What's going on? What did you want to talk about? Lydia called Rudolph out into the corridor. It was obvious that she wanted to talk about something that she didn't want the others to hear. Yeah? I want to go outside. Okay. That didn't need to be that dramatic. Or maybe it did. Certainly, the body cannot last without nothing more than a small breakfast, but... Of course, we understand. Still, as time passes, it'll get darker and darker out. It's probably at its brightest now. It's the most convenient time. Only about an hour has passed since Rosa-san was attacked. This is simply too reckless. It was only natural that Natsuki was yelling about recklessness. After all, Rudolph had said he was going to the mansion to get food. Certainly, on top of their fatigue, their hunger was tormenting them. In the beginning, a mild level of hunger that had been just what they needed to fight off drowsiness. However, it now just made their minds hazy, since it was still only midday, their bodies felt like they were reaching their limits. The thought of going to the kitchen in the mansion and bringing back some food certainly was attractive. I'm opposed to this. It may be a little rough, but we definitely shouldn't leave this place. Don't worry about us, but it would pain my heart to keep the children hungry. I must be responsible as a parent. Dear, now the father is dead, you are the Ushimura family head. It is not permissible for you to take on such a danger. You're right. It's like Natsuki-san says. Cross-san, you should remain here as our leader. Then who will go to the mansion? I think it should be Kitty and me, and Hideyoshi-san too. Hideyoshi-san and I have guns. They shouldn't be able to lay a hand on us that easily. Rosa-san also had a gun, but she was attacked. Wouldn't it be dangerous? When I went out to check on Rosa and Marie-chan, I had a gun, but I was alone. And yeah, I wasn't attacked. Maybe they'd be cautious if their opponent is a man. We'll have 2 men, and even 2 guns. Those 2 will act as guards, and I'll transport our cargo using a cart. I believe the situation will be significantly different than it was for Rosa-san. If you count on me because I'm a man, I'd be happy to help. I may not look it, but I'm built up pretty strong from pushing food stands around. Leave the heavy lift into me. You men can devote yourselves to guarding. There's a folding cart in the servant room, and using that, I should be able to handle carrying the food. Of course, we'll be careful. And if we succeed in this adventure just once, there won't be any need for us to take risks again. Is there any way I can get you to rethink this? It may be painful for everyone to deal with empty stomachs, but even so, we do not know what is happening outside now. We'll take care. Any of us feeling pretty darn bad right now. We can't let her stay hungry. If her stomach's empty, she can't take medicine. I have to go out for Ava's sake as well. How is Ava? Looks like she's finally gotten to sleep. She has a high fever. If we just leave her be for a while? You can't just stand still when it comes to your wife's health. Understood. I'll give you permission to go outside. Then we'll take a little trip there and back. A speed contest. Canned food's okay, right? You at least have a can open here, don't you? Yes, we have a can opener and a bottle opener. There's running water in the guest house, so we don't need anything to drink. We need to get 10 people's worth, so no being picky about what you get. Alright, why don't we dash out and bring it back quickly? There's no time to open umbrellas. See you, Aniki. I'll trust you to look after this place. Take care. Under normal circumstances, I'd want to go too. Being a man, I despise how this title of the oldest brother prevents me from lending a hand in an emergency like this. This is about the only time we get to show off. Sit back and take it easy once in a while, Aniki. Okay, now to you, wait here and get some towels ready or something. When you're using umbrellas, they'll be soaked to the bone when we get back. Understood. Take care. Taking bets on how many of them are going to make it back. Rudolph, Kitty, and Hideyoshi, each leaving their own brave words behind in the lobby. Compared to the time Rosa and Mari had gone outside, the winds were much stronger. Rudolph's group of 3 people jogged through the rose garden without umbrellas, holding their guns in a folded cart. If everything had been still and quiet, without the wind and the rain, they would probably have kept their ears open and moved with caution. In this rain, even if some suspicious person was hiding nearby, it would be difficult to notice them. Because of that, it had been Rudolph's plan to instead dash through the dangerous area. If there was a chance that their opponent was equipped with a gun, then walking slowly with a guard up would only make them targets. Taking swift action was probably the correct choice. The rose garden. It feels like we're just asking to be attacked. Please, let nobody come out of there. Even as Rudolph and Hideyoshi continued to run, they looked around restlessly, vigilant of their surroundings. Rosa and Mara's deaths had not been caused by a projectile weapon. However, it was easy to suspect that the servants had been killed in such a manner. Did they come flying out of the dark? Or did they take careful aim and snipe from the shadows? Either way, they couldn't relax their tension for even an instant. But even so, when they reached the overhang in front of the entrance to the mansion and escaped the reach of the raindrops, they felt themselves breathing a sigh of relief. Oop. He's back. He's upset that they're not eating his food, huh? Oh, hold on, he's way too small. But you need to eat more and become big and strong. Okay, he is now at our service. He lives on in our hearts. No problems for the first step, like how it was for Rosa-san. Maybe they can't get their hands on us easily. I'd like to believe that. Kitty, unlock the door while we keep a lookout. Sure. Returning home to the mansion with a pair of SPs? SPs? Makes me feel just like an executive. Must be some kind of business word. What's SP stand for? SP abbreviation. Standard play, starting price, Spanish, Socialist Party, Shore Patrol, Submarine Patrol, Center Party, Species, Simulated Patient, Substance P, Specific Person, Signal Processing, Spell Power in World of Warcraft, Special Price. I have no idea. Stamina Point, yeah. Sausage Party. See, I don't know. It must be like, kind of like bodyguard term or something? I don't know. Wow, if we had a welcoming party of servants with a red carpet, it'd be perfect. A welcoming party, huh? You never know. Be careful. As the two cautiously survey their surroundings, Kitty unlocked the entrance with a master key she'd been given. It's open. Hideyoshi-san, could you take the front? I'll keep an eye on the rear. Understood. Kitty-san, try not to move from my shadow. Oh yeah, I can take a look. I wonder if it's just SP in Japanese too. It just says SP. I don't know. Maybe the translators didn't know either. Maybe they just trusted it. It might be something that we don't call SP in English even. I'll Google in Japanese. There's people often. Security police. There you go. It's security police. Security guards. Why didn't they just say security guards? We don't call them SG. Security police. It's a Japanese term. It's literally a Japanese abbreviation. The Close Protection Division of the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department. It's literally a Japanese thing. They should have just kept that abbreviated, I don't think. It's open. Hideyoshi-san? Oh, I already read this. Okay, let's break in. Rear guard, roger that. Covering. He loves the roleplay. Ah, man. Even in a situation like this, you're just playing around, aren't you? Give it up. That's how men are. Seriously, though, that stench is awful. It felt like the air in the mansion was stagnant with a gloomy silence. And on top of that, it was still thick with a stench from Kento's burnt corpse in the boiler room, and they were struck with an uncontrollable desire to leave the mansion. No problems in the front. Just a short dash to the kitchen. Let's finish this quickly and head home. This suit will get fumigated with gas stench. The three of them dashed towards the kitchen. And... That's the end. And after they disappeared from the entrance hall, the new witch appeared there. They were lured out just as planned. Just as planned, they get caught in my trap. The witch grinned. Sega's actually showing up today, if I read far enough. Sega/Shikari. Thinking about it now, no matter how unbearable their hunger had grown, it hadn't even been a few hours since Rose and Mari had been attacked and had lost their lives. In that case, why had they needed to recklessly leave the guest house? You know, that question could be dealt with. The only answer was that they'd been called out by the witch's magic. What reckless people. They'll never leave this mansion alive. Seal yourself, Locke. Seal yourself, mansion. The instant she proclaimed that, the mansion was sealed off into a separate world. Unless her burial wasn't done, no longer would anyone be able to enter this mansion or enter it. Spectacular. To think that even though barely half a day has passed since you succeeded the Endless Witch, you can use magic this well. That talent surprises me. It's almost as though you were born a witch. Well, I have been a witch since the time of my birth. You taught you how to blink. That's what using magic is like for me. I'm a fearsome person. Witch's face twisted with brutality. She just couldn't help looking forward to toying with someone's life again. Well then. Yeah. First up is Rudolph and Kitty, but in what cruel way should I kill them? If you don't mind me saying, your predecessor Sama has left instructions that you are to restrain yourself from committing murders of unnecessary cruelty. And there's an etiquette for offering sacrifices from the fourth twilight onwards. That you must bow the power of the seven sisters of purgatory. Oh really? Now that you mention it, that's right. I could only play as I like with that second twilight. Boring. Just when I thought I could play to my heart's content like I did with Rosa. But that only counts for how they're killed in the end, right? Meaning, I could just kill them however I want over and over again, revive them, and then follow the epitaph during the last time I kill them, right? I mean, a stake through the knee probably isn't going to be fatal anyway, it's just a corpse desecration thing. So in the end, no matter how I play, it isn't a problem. Who'd act overhead with an entertaining power like this? Your absurd argument was, for an endless switch, an extremely valid one. The etiquette that controlled the manner of killing the sacrifices of the Twilight and onward was represented by lines like gouge the head. However, that referred to the way those people died in the end. In other words, in the process leading up to that, she was free to tease and kill them however she wanted. She just had to keep on reviving them and follow the rules only when she killed them the final time. Though Runabei felt that her innocent cruelty was part of her talent as a witch, he was beginning to notice an innately brutal side of her. I'm gonna get some more water, give me just a sec. They do say that apprentices are the most brutal of witches, and now I see this may be true. Use you wish, is what I'd like to say, but here it may actually be wiser to show restraint. They have guns. Weapons with a high anti-magic power, such as guns, sure, are the natural enemies of witches and demons. The witch stared blankly at this demon butler, who was surprisingly afraid of guns. That can't be right. Shouldn't witches be able to take a shot from a bullet easily? No. It would be just as fatal for a witch as it would be for a normal human. To prevent that weak point from being noticed, most witches rigorously strengthen their guard with a defense of protective barriers and furniture. Do we have any of those protective barrier things? Constructing a barrier to make even gun bullets ineffective requires much in the way of preparation and ceremonies. I'm afraid to say that Beatrice Summer currently has none of those. Furthermore, you are currently ill-prepared to summon furniture strong enough to block a bullet. So even though I've become a great witch with this much magical power, I really do have to be afraid of lead bullets. Just have Runaway block it. It's annoying, but I don't have a choice. So in that case, should I call some furniture to act as my arms and legs? Here we go. Yes, leaving everything to your servants while not exposing yourself to danger is also part of a witch's refined tastes. Beatrice Summer, leave this to the furniture and hide in a safe place. I get it. Beatrice usually plays the summoner class. I call on the Seven Sisters of Purgatory. I don't care who, any two. Leviathan and Belphegor responded to that call. Leviathan of Envy, right here. Belphegor of Sloth, right here. Show me your power. Your targets are Rudolph and Kirie. Don't attack Hideyoshi. Come on, show me just how cruel you can be, furniture. My apologies, but we've received orders from the predecessor summon to refrain from unnecessary cruel actions. But I think the predecessor summon's order does give us some leeway to tease them. You still want to go through with it? I get it, I'll compromise. Don't let them die easily. Thoroughly corner them and let them taste the fear of death before killing them. Would that be okay, Runabe? Yes, depending on the degree, I do not believe there will be a problem. Then go. I don't think there was a cool anime battle here, but we're gonna get one later. One of the best ones. In like the first 4 parts. Your opponents are armed with guns. For those such as you, dodging them should be easy. But if you are hit, the wound will be fatal. Proceed with an appropriate level of caution. Don't worry, we are that incompetent. The 2 sisters of Purgatory vanished. Runabe bowed and vanished himself. There are even rules on how to kill them. Why do I have to be constrained by my predecessors, huh? It's so rigid and boring. Just rewrite the epitaph. You solved it. It's basically yours now. As the witch looked up at the portrait of the predecessor Beatrice hung in the hall, she cursed. Bitch. The 3 people had already arrived at the kitchen and were gathering food supplies. Considering the possibility of poison, they gave up on the alluring fruits and vegetables, and gathered a whole cardboard box of only the safe canned fruit foods. It was very heavy, but by piling up the cart, they could carry it well enough. This should be more than enough for 10 people to hold out until tomorrow's breakfast. That should carry them until the boat arrives. The 2 men were supposed to be focused solely on guard duty, but the weight of the load was tough on Kirie even with a cart. Hideyoshi, who wanted to show off his power, switched to be the cart pusher, and Rudolph and his wife took up the task of guard duty. With all this, even George and the kids will be full. The trip back will be a picnic, so let's go. When Hideyoshi vigorously announced their departure, Kirie frowned and seemed to be gazing into the distance. There was a wall in that direction. Now, if her gaze could go through that, there was the main hall beyond it. What is it, Kirie? It's vague, but I've got a bad feeling gnawing at me. Kirie stopped walking and narrowed her eyes even further. Women's intuition? Times like this, Kirie's intuition often rang true, even when she didn't have a logical reason. I would have believed in that intuition. Yes. Someone's probably waiting to ambush us. I didn't sense them before, but just now, I felt it. Just now, someone set up an ambush for us. And there was no reason to go back the way we came. Look, she said it in bold. What does that mean? There's a back door over there, right? Let's leave that way. Okay, I think maybe my throat's better now. Maybe not. Rudolph made to unlock the back door. When goods were carried into the kitchen, they never passed through the part of the mansion that the family came and went from. Though outside the back door, there was probably a ramp used to carry things in. Surely they'd be able to leave through there with a cart. What the heck? It's stuck. Damn, what's going on? Can't you open it? Nope. Is it broken? It isn't giving an inch. Rudolph tried various things, first using force, then coaxing it. What does that mean? The lock was as hard as stone and didn't even budge. Don't force it. Let's leave through the front entrance. Right now, it'll be even worse if we stand around wasting time. You think this is a trap? I don't know. Be careful. With strained expressions, the three of them returned to the hall again and headed for the entrance. Who is it? The instant they exited into the hall, Rudolph noticed a suspicious shadow right in front of them and yelled. In that instant, a storm of gold leaves started blowing, and gold butterflies covered the area with a gold color. Goldly. I can't believe it. A lovely human predicted our ambush. It isn't my fault. I was hiding my presence. Don't hesitate. Fire! The two guns spouted fire. The lead bullets blasted right through the magical defense of the pair as easily as though it were a wet paper wall. But the two figures that should have been there had disappeared. Certainly, guns were frightening objects for them, but there was no need to fear as long as they weren't hit. They at least had enough speed to dodge those. Wait a sec. You won't even give us a chance to say our names? This is why I hate humans. Leviathan was a full 10 meters from where she'd been supposedly been, popping her head up from behind the pillars in the shadow of the staircase and protesting. In accordance with Beatrice Summer's orders, we will hunt you down. Orders tell us to make it take some time and to tease you. You're free to resist, but know that it'll be useless. That voice came from overhead. Belphegor could be seen on top of the hall chandelier. Elegantly looking down upon them, she proclaimed their execution with a cruel smile. What are these girls? Forget the cart. We have two opponents, so if we split up, they can't chase all of us. All three of them were well acquainted with the inside, I imagine. In case of a crisis, they'd planned to run off in separate directions, returning to the guest house by breaking windows or leaving through a back door. Fighting was forbidden, as long as they could fully escape. In a tight spot, escaping is victory. The three of them ran into the depths of the mansion at full tilt. That pair of furniture calmly watched them go. That's perfect, they only want to kill two of them anyway. I'll kill the woman. Ooh, good music here, I think. You take the man. Understood. The furniture in the shadows of the pillars and on the chandelier made their figures explode. And, leaving behind only the sound of a hopping beetle knocking against the wall, they pursued their respective targets. Their speed was overwhelming, and they easily blocked the other's path of retreat. Let's see what this furniture's got. I hope they're at least able to amuse me. Beatrice Sama, it may not be prudent for you to reveal your form unnecessarily. And you don't want to necessarily move your king away from the center. I'm not sure what you mean by fabled. I don't remember anything that would make it fabled. But it is a scene with them, yeah. Maybe it's the one you're thinking of. That's part of a monarch's and a witch's dignity. The first part appears. Belphegor was already blocking the way in front of Rudolph, who had boldly tried to escape to the second floor. It's useless to try and resist or escape. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think this is part of the scene. It's not really an anime battle, but still. You don't need to try to think about anything. Just close your eyes. I'll gently end it all for you. You'd make a good wife. Husbands love to hear that kind of thing when they come home all tired. They think you're still relaxed enough to speak with such insolence at a time like this. Beatrice-sama, thank you for this excellent prey. Die. Rudolph shot first. But before that bullet could hit her, Belphegor had already moved behind Rudolph's back. She then raised a purple curve springing out from her arm. However, incredibly, before that arm could decapitate Rudolph, he had swung his gun behind him. The barrel remained pointing behind his back, in the same motion with which he'd reloaded the sawed-off gun one-handedly. It was pointing right at Belphegor's chest. Click, chip-clunk, was the sound of the ejected empty cartridge finally hitting the wall after the reload. In other words, it meant that the next shot was already fully loaded. Without turning around, his gun pointing right at Belphegor's chest, Rudolph grinned. He has some kind of like instant reload perk, I guess. Not bad. For a middle-aged man. Don't look down on the generation that loves old westerns, okay? You brats don't know anything about the refinement of a lever action. Yeah, everyone calls them shotguns, but keep in mind they're actually using rifles, not shotguns. We even have, for whatever reason, it was here before, it had like the exact model of gun. For fun. Just like Rudolph, he was also confronting a demon stake in the first floor corridor. Yeah, Winchester's, yeah. What a moron. You could have just escaped with your husband. You do know that was your final farewell just now, right? Don't worry. This kind of thing is my husband's specialty. I'm sure he'll come for me on a white horse soon. Because he's never failed to come and save me when I'm in trouble. Not even when Asuma-san was around. What a happy couple. I'm jealous. Asuma was Battle's mother, by the way. I'm Leviathan of Envy. Envy itself is my power. My anger, my lifeblood. I agree. Envy is the source of a woman's power. And if that is power, I won't lose to a girl like you. Ah, imagine saying that to the one who governs envy. You actually think I'd let you two be reunited? I'll give you a tragic farewell. There on Leviathan swung was trailed by a purple curve. Elwa's mother is a woman called Asumu. Not Kirie. Kirie is just stepmother. She married after Asumu died. She married Rudolph. That was why Battler left the family for 6 years and went to live with his grandma, because he essentially just couldn't deal with having a new mother. He was upset how quickly... no, it is... Asumu. He was upset with how quickly his dad recovered, basically, after her death. It was a magic blade that cut with the power of malice. Kirie blocked it with her gun. I think, I want to say her name comes up in one of the bios, but I'm not sure. It might. No, it's not mentioned in the bios, I guess. Yeah, blocked it with her gun. Blocking a sword with a gun. Even though the magic blade should have cut metal like butter, the gun, with its extremely high magic resistance power. Yeah, Hideyoshi's defenseless, but the stakes were told to not kill Hideyoshi. After all, Eva Beatrice is the one perpetrating this, so she wouldn't want to kill her husband, right? Was able to block the blade as easily as it were a rolled up newspaper. See, they're enchanted Winchesters. Rapidly, 2 times, 3 times. Blocked all of them. What are you looking at? I think she's looking at the light. And without missing the opening created when that purple curve took a swing upward, Hideo kicked Leviathan in the stomach with her heel. Leviathan was knocked away like a lightly dancing feather. Before the demon snake's feet touched ground again, Hideo was already pointing her gun directly at Leviathan in midair. From that position, the two women who called envy a form of power met each other's gaze. Can you do it? Can you pull that trigger? I can be brutal when my husband isn't around. I love the zooms, you don't get those too often. Ow! Tumbled down the staircase. You've been gradually cornered by Belphegor, then pushed back into the main hall they'd started from. The predecessor Sama's furniture was pretty good. Not very flashy though. Beatrice-sama, this is never yet. It's dangerous to show yourself. Don't tell me you're... Ava? That used to be my name, but it's different now, Rudolph. You don't have to tell me. You're gonna say you're the Golden Witch, Beatrice, right? How did you know? Since the time Rosa was killed, I had a vague idea. Rosa, forgive me. Forgive me for sending the sister you hated down to the hell you're in. Beatrice-sama, look out. Ralph mercilessly pointed the barrel of his gun at the witch who claimed to have once been his sister. Belphegor would not permit that and attacked savagely. She dashed, disappeared, and headed for Rudolph's back. She dodged that shot and again headed for Rudolph's back. He vanished over and over, instantly moving into Rudolph's blind spots. Rosa knew he has no blind spots. It was almost as though she was a fairy. As she blinked in and out of vision, Belphegor incessantly drove towards Rudolph. Maybe this is kind of fun. Rudolph, let me sit back and watch to see how long your brave efforts last you. Nice line wrap. At that time, there was a dull tearing sound along with Rudolph's cry of anguish. Rudolph's reaction at the dance of the purple curve that pressed upon him had finally been too slow. He needed to let it lightly cut his flank. A single wound slowed him down just once. His pain lowered his stats. That led to a new wound which slowed his actions again. Belphegor's dance began to swallow Rudolph whole. Watching Rudolph's body gradually get carved up, his former sister let out a shrill laugh. They're still sisters. My brother and sister. Kind of. Leviathan could no longer hide her irritation that Kirie had suffered a single fatal wound. I really am a moron. Among the 7 sisters, I was always the slowest to grow. I was always slow, always weak, always stupid. Then inferiority complex became envy, and when I convert that into power, I gain a strength greater than that of any of the sisters. It's important for young girls to have a moderate inferiority complex. It teaches women about cosmetics and hard work. I don't like having to use the limits of my power against mere humans, but I can turn my envy of your ability to trust completely in your husband into power. I don't like it. Why are you so relaxed when you're fighting for your life? I wonder. I get it. You're fully convinced that your husband will come to your rescue and save you. Isn't it incredible, that trust of yours? It's enough to make me jealous. What kind of trust do these sisters have for each other? The sisters are always looking down on each other, trying to thoroughly limb-based each other when things already look bad. It's my past, I forget. I've always been bullied by my sisters. I've always wanted just one person to take my side. So when I see you with a single ally who's completely trustworthy, I feel the strongest envy. That confident expression of utter belief in your husband, I can feel it giving me power. I might even surpass that. The speed of sound. Leviathan then turned herself into a stake, and the speed of her flight as she attacked was proportional to the strength of her envy. Since the day my sisters looked down on me, I was jealous from the bottom of my heart of the other 6 who grew quickly. I was jealous for 7 days and 7 nights. You can see the power I gained as a result in my speed. Die, Umineko! The demon stake exposed her true form, leaping about at a terrible speed. The noise from bouncing off the wall sounded like a machine gun. By now, Kidia probably couldn't tell if it was a single stake or a swarm of beetles flying and bouncing around. Leviathan was over 100% certain of her victory, believing it from the bottom of her heart. Then Kidia spoke with an unbelievably calm voice. And how can I clear his throat? I was the one who went out with Rudolph-san first. Asuma-san blatantly put in between us, and shrewdly got pregnant. I don't blame Rudolph-san. The woman used her body as a weapon to seduce him, and then acted even more impulsively, turning Rudolph-san and forcing him to get engaged to her. Asuma-san had been carrying Batman-kun. At the same time, I was also carrying a boy. As fate would have it, our delivery dates were on the same day. Then Asuma-san gave birth to Batman-kun. I had a stillbirth. I think about it sometimes. What if Asuma-san had had the stillbirth, and I'd been the one to give birth? Would Rudolph-san have broken off his engagement and married me? But I couldn't give birth to my child. So until Asuma-san died, until I got pregnant with Angie, I cursed Asuma-san and was jealous. Let Asuma-san die. Then I wanted to marry me. In my envy, I kept cursing like that over and over until Asuma-san finally died. I was certain that I used the power of magic to curse and kill Asuma-san. But that didn't quell the flames of my envy. Anji's gotten mentioned once before. Once when they said, oh, Angie has a stomachache, so she didn't come. Don't tell anyone, okay? Every time I look at Batler-kun, I remember that woman. Every single time I look at him, I think that if only my child had been born, he would be of the same age. I'm still jealous of her, tormented by her. Even now, and from now on, into the future for all eternity. You say you were jealous of your sisters for 7 days and 7 nights? That's right. Don't make me laugh, little girl. How could you understand the madness of a woman whose man was stolen from her, and who's burned with envy for 18 years? Whoa. If Leviathan had the power of 24 hours x 7 days, or 167 hours of speed, that the power that Cutie had piled up was 24 hours in 1 day, 365 days in 1 year, and 18 whole years. You know, that counting leap years, that was 157,680 hours. Compared to Leviathan's power and speed, it was more than 938 times greater. I love when Umineko's math. So then, even if Leviathan could soar at the speed of sound, 1,225 kilometers an hour, to Kidia's eyes it only looked like 1/938th of that. Which means 1,225 divided by 938 is the speed of 1.30 kilometers per hour. They said human's walking speed is 4 kilometers per hour, so it was even less than half of that. She's like crawling. This is almost the same speed as a baby crawling on the floor. Which means, see, if you're watching the anime, you miss all this. You miss all this, like, narration stuff. Which means you like lose out on a lot of this. A lot of the dramatic buildup. The anime just has red text. Like, essentially the screen turns red and text, like, scrolls across, like, in dramatic ways. And in the manga, I think they use like a special bold font or something because the manga's black and white. Oops. In the time it took the demon stake to move at a pace so slow that you could count all the bits of dust floating through the air, he looked at it with pity. She pitied the slowness at which it came towards her. Then she lazily raised the barrel of her gun. Okay, real, I see what you're talking about. When you mentioned it was a badass scene, I'd kind of forgotten how badass this was, actually. Almost as though she was trying to swallow the demon stake up with a gun barrel. You're completely lacking both romance and envy. Try harder next time, little girl. Kitty is a cool character. I've mentioned it a few times. She's pretty great. Rudolph, what happened to all that vigor from a couple seconds ago? You're supposed to slice up a fish while it's still flopping around. If it dies, it isn't interesting anymore. That's enough. Why not kill you now? Damn it. I'm surprised you managed to endure this long after being carved up. That's enough. From now on, you don't need to think about anything. I'll steal away your life painlessly. He is pain resistant. Wait, there's a favor I want to ask. At the very end, I want to do one of those. What do you mean, one of those? You know, that thing you see in all the westerns. You start with their backs together, walk 3 steps, and then bang. Ah, a duel. Very well. If that'll satisfy your regrets in this world, I'll accept. Rudolph moved his wound-covered body and turned his back to her. Belphegor responded and turned back to his. Belphegor had an honest nature that was uncommon in a witch's furniture. Let me warn you, even if you press the barrel of your gun between my eyebrows, I can move instantaneously, even faster than you could pull the trigger to have the bullet reach my skull. Yeah, I can feel it already. You're faster than a bullet. I've agreed to this out of respect for your courage in challenging me to a duel despite that knowledge. Thank me. Well, you're an honest and principled person, and a good woman. You might just steal my heart away. Let's begin. 3 steps will do fine, yes? First, 1 step. 2 steps. 3 steps. Is that okay? Yep. And, since you still haven't noticed after walking 3 whole steps, it's my victory, miss. What? Ah. Rudolph turned around and fired a bullet. However, Belphegor could easily steer the speed and trajectory of a bullet like that. It should have been no problem at all to dodge it. But a spray of fresh blood flew about. Belphegor had set up an adequate magical defensive barrier, but before an incarnation of anti-magic power such as that bullet was completely meaningless. What are you doing? Why'd you get hit? The bullet hit Belphegor right in the chest. The pain from the lead caused her to grimace, as did the pain from the denial of magic. Forgive me. I'm a coward of a man. What a killjoy. To think that furniture of a witch could be defeated by a human. Know your shame. Worthless, pathetic. If only you just grovel and die. Quit it, Aniki. She could have dodged it, but she didn't. She realized that you were in the line of fire, Aniki. So this faithful girl took it without dodging, protecting you. At the very end, she saw that it was pinning the rook in the king. Spectacular. Don't hate me for it. I plan to resign if you noticed it while you were taking those 3 steps. You added those 3 steps out of consideration for me, didn't you? I didn't even try to think about it. I was lazy. Go sloth, everyone. You were a good woman. Go to heaven before me and get yourself all made up. I'll definitely come and chat you up. They won. They beat him. This is the first time we've seen humans beat furniture. As Belphegor slowly fell over, she lost even the power that kept her in human form. She grew small like gold dust melting into thin air. At that point, Kitty had dashed in. It seemed that she had somehow defeated her pursuer by her own hands. As she pointed the barrel of her gun straight at the witch, she ran up to the wound-covered Rudolph. Are you okay? Were you chatting someone up just now? Yep, a good woman. A match for you, of course. Sorry, Aniki. It's checkmate. The 2 of them pinned the witch down the barrels of their guns. And the killers they'd become the new witches. Rudolph the witch. Rudolph Beatrice. Worthless furniture. To think they'd be beaten by human opponents. Worthless. Stupid. Boring. Beatrice-sama, we should retreat for now. There's no furniture barrier to guard against bullets here. Well, it'd be boring if the Seven Stakes kept winning every single fight, then we'd never get any new characters. The witch began to let out a muffled laugh. It surprised not only Rudolph and Kyrie, but Ronabe as well. Because a situation like this, with 2 guns pointed at her, was not one that even a witch could just laugh off. But the witch laughed with pleasure. Well, it's only natural that predecessor Summer's worn-out furniture couldn't do it. I need to get new furniture that's suitable for me. I use them out of obligation, but I've always hated secondhand stuff. As she said that, she looked down at Belphegor's remains, which already finished turning into a pile of gold dust with disgust. I don't know what you're talking about. Be a good girl and put your hands up. Then the witch obediently raised her hands, but instead of raising her hands because a gun was being pointed at her, it looked more like she was a conductor facing an orchestra, waving her conductor's baton. Come, arise, furniture suitable for me. Not that cheap furniture, much stronger ones. Cruel ones. Stop this bizarre act. I'll pull the trigger. Better hurry up and do it. In response to the witch's call, the hall was once again buried with a color of gold. Yeah, you missed like the most badass part of PDA's scene, Gex. It's really good. She really like sold herself as a character over those 5 minutes. As the brilliantly radiant gold butterflies danced, it felt as though they were being sucked into an ocean of gold leaf. Renegade was shocked at that surge in magical power. After all, it far surpassed that of his former master. As their eyes were dazzled amidst this golden flash, a gunshot could be heard. Either Rudolph or Kyrie had fired a round. Then, when the golden flash subsided, at the very least the witch was standing there, looking cool and composed. The bullet? Kyrie must have fired it into her, but the witch had not been hit anywhere on her body. There it is. The bullet had been fastened in midair right in front of the witch's chest. A bulletproof barrier. In an instant, a barrier that would require a significant amount of preparation even where the predecessor had been. When her face was twisted in shock. And the surprises did not end there. Like I've said, every Vienna has its new characters. A cloud of gold butterflies had created 2 humanoid forms. It was the furniture summoning. We're not getting Yukari yet. Yukari's next, I think. We get raisins now. The butterflies peeled off and flew away, and beneath them, furniture in the shape of girls showed themselves. The Chester sisters' corpse. Even the predecessor wasn't able to summon Pendragon's memorial troops at a moment's notice, and to do it so easily. Chester 410, right here. Chester 45, right here. You two are suitable furniture for me, I take it. From reading a picture book out aloud to going on a date to shooting down meteorites. We'll take care of anything. Hehehe. If we don't take care of it, Pendragon someone will get mad at us. Please, your orders, great Lady Beatrice. Really, like, hints at things. He makes little jokes. So far, he hasn't really gone outside, like, except for that type. Sorry. I meant to mute before that one. Rudolph-san, let's run for it. We're in a match for these ones. Sure. She had definitely heard warning sirens going off in her head, thanks to the same feeling that had alerted her to the ambush by the Seven Sisters of Purgatory. These characters used to be translated as the Siesta Sisters, but they fixed it to Siesta Sisters. Rule's just been in the wiki. Without hesitation, they escaped. As the witch elegantly watched them leave, she commanded her new furniture. This is an order. Kill the 2 who ran away. Then bring the corpses back here. I'll bring them back to life and play with them over and over. The witch's expression twisted into an evil smile. Even though she feared that expression, Lucifer appeared and spoke. Forgive my presumption, but the predecessor Sama asked that you avoid brutal actions of that sort. When the witch stared at her with those terrifying eyes, Lucifer was struck dumb. She was frustrated. It was so boring not being able to let her own power and cruelty run wild. This annoying furniture of the predecessor kept telling her to show restraint, bringing her irritation to a peak. Oh, it's Lucifer of Pride. Long time so no see, yeah? How you doing? Let's play together again sometime. Hehehe. You mustn't whisper. 410. You'll get in trouble. Let's carry the great Lady Beatrice's order at once. Hey, Avery, what are you doing out there? Come on. Yes. Well, yeah, we are on the job right now. Yeah. 410, roger that. Firing... Oh, firing guidance system started. Firing guidance system started. And I can't read the rest of this. 410, roger that. Preparing for sniping pursuit combat. Commence data accumulation. I don't know why he has so many characters without pants. It's a weird thing. He's got equally as many addresses, though. Accumulating terrain data. Accumulating data for firing. Data link with 410. 410, data received. Target lock acquired. We Shikigami, it's okay. They're basically Shikigami. Commencing terrain calculation error correction. Formulating fire curve. Formulating fire curve. Supplemental control point calculations complete. Data link to 45. 45, data received. Checking hazard zone. Ah, that's no good. Accuracy 97.89%. Whisper-chan, better get out from behind us or you'll get roasted by the backblast. Thanks to their paired measurements, the Chester sisters were able to instantly calculate the terrain throughout the mansion and the coordinates of the targets, as well as a firing curve to reach them. That's right, their shots could be guided to follow a curved line. None could escape. The precision guidance used by the Sisters of Purgatory was nothing but a cheap knockoff of the ability these two held. 45. Firing preparations concluded. Ammo type selected and loaded. As the two of them faced each other, it was as though they were both pulling back a bowstring together. A dazzling gold arrow was ready there. 410. Firing. After giving that announcement, they released a single arrow together. As the path taken by the gold sparkling snake of light drew a curve, it followed the direction that Rudolph and Kitty had escaped to in a rapid pursuit. It turned through the corridors, crawled over the floor, chasing them as it drew a beautiful curve. No one could block the guided shots of the Chester sisters. No one could escape from them, and their strength could pierce all physical and magical defenses. It was quite a merciless guided weapon of certain death. It's like holding shots. However, among mythical class soldiers, it was a weapon used by pretty much everyone. It was very commonplace for them, and very extraordinary for those of the everyday world. But what the? When he noticed something rapidly chasing them and turned around, the exact position of Rudolph's heart was pierced by the gold snake. It all happened in an instant. Rudolph's son, after the gold snake pierced Rudolph, it swooped down to the floor, drawing a beautiful spiral, coiled itself around Kitty's legs, and crawled up to her chest. They had a good show, at least. And just like Rudolph, it pierced the exact location of her heart. But the sisters are kind of merciless. And all that happened in an instant. It pierced Rudolph and then Kitty. So they died, dropped to their knees, and fell over at almost the exact same time. What's this? Talk about overwhelming. Hahaha. Ridiculously easy, isn't it? This is the kind of furniture I need. Way different from predecessors on the second-hand furniture. Come on, bring their corpses here. I'll keep reviving them until I bored, and I'll try killing them in as brutal a way as I can think of. Ah, to think being a witch could be so much fun. A ticking life could be so much fun. Ha. From the time humans are born, the most shunned action they can take is the murder of another human. That's only natural that humans can't understand how pleasurable it can be to break this taboo. Chill. But she was no longer human. She was a witch. And there were some pleasures that only witches could understand. By now, she had tasted those pleasures, and was totally immersed in them. She's already killed 100 zombie children. Killing any more doesn't make her feel bad. After learning that the contents of the forbidden pot were honey, she could no longer live without them. No, maybe the contents were honey because they were forbidden. Anyway, by killing humans gruesomely, and doing it over and over, she could feel the drug-like pleasure even now. As the witch rolled over laughing, the gold snake that had just been shot returned as though being reeled in. Tips, 2 people were pinned and dragged along. She's just worked up. Hey, what are you doing? The witch's order had been fulfilled. Rudolph and Kitty had been killed instantly, and their corpses had been carried back. Chester's 45 and 410, order execution complete. We await your next order, Great Lady Beatrice. Please, your orders. From babysitting to playing online games with you, to shooting down a space shuttle, we'll take care of everything. It's like these two are the sacrifices for the fourth and fifth Twilights. So in the end, I'll need those worthless 7 sisters. Or are they the 5 sisters now? I need those guys to pierce and gouge the forehead and the chest. But I can do that at the very end, and I'm free to play in any way I want until then, right? Hey, don't mess with the shelf. Wait. Have you already forgotten what I've told you? Oh, it's you, predecessor Sama. What are you doing? Do you have any complaints? Of course I do. You're doing whatever you please, aren't you? Why haven't you followed my directions? We already had Beatrice versus Beatrice, remember? What's wrong with doing as I please, predecessor Sama? Anyway, I don't plan on deviating from the rules of the ceremony this artist. We had Virgilia. I'll definitely clean those 2 corpses up later, and drive stakes into their forehead and chest. I'm telling you, that is not the problem. If you act so undignified and cruel, some people might take it badly. You mean your opponent in that game? That one you're supposedly fighting against somewhere? Nobody told me. Dude, damn that blabbermouth. Well, to be perfectly honest, that's how it is. If you go a little too far, that person will object, you see. Why can't this person just complain to me directly instead of making you take a message? That coward. Well, this is a resident of a different world from yours. There's no choice but to use me as an intermediary. Well, that's beside the point, but... Which means that this person couldn't interact with me even if they wanted to. Hey. And I can't interact with them even if I want to either. Simply put, this is a completely unrelated person from a world that distant, right? Indeed. For example, perhaps you could say these worlds are like very close parallel lines. The distance between them is quite small, but because the lines are parallel, they'll never cross. I don't know how long it's going to take for her to get this out of her system. For now, that should be a convenient way for you to view that world. They never cross, which means that world has nothing to do with me. If you're speaking for that person when you tell me to show restraint, please pass this message on to them. To them? What should I say? Fuck you. It's none of your business, so disappear, you old hag. They do have a scratching post, yeah. I also have, the classic lights. That's the best form of exercise for them, honestly. They love those. All cats do. Except some that can't see them. Junie can't see them. It's something about, like, her breed, her type of cat. Cats can't see them. It's a shame. What? Oh, I'm sorry. Since it was a friend of yours, I just assumed she'd be a woman. By old hag, I'm definitely not talking about you, predecessor Sama, so please don't get mad at me. When she spoke, the witch was looking straight into Beato's eyes. Anyone present would be able to tell what she meant by it. Predecessor Sama, there's something I find really strange. Why do you have to play a game with someone from another world, and have him accept that you're a witch? Well, as to that, it's because making all humans accept the existence of witches is a prerequisite of perfect control. This is probably Golden Sneer because I know the vocal of Fishy Aroma doesn't quite sound like this. It's different. So I assume it's Golden Sneer. It was a single holdout who simply wouldn't accept me as a witch. Why would you need the approval of a human? Witches are witches and can use magic, so why should we need to be acknowledged by humans? Well, like I said earlier, magic is... I'm a witch. I can use magic without anyone's approval in particular, so what's your point? In this world, right? Or since that person won't accept it, how should I explain it? I don't need you to. Oh my god, those emotes. That's terrifying. They don't show up on stream, but they show up in chat. Isn't this a different world that never crosses that one? In other words, that world might as well not exist. Here. My arm is yours to play with. it's protected now. You're fighting a game in another world is absolutely no different from you telling me about stuff from your imagination. I'll say it again. It has nothing to do with me. You don't like my hand when it's safe? You don't like my hand when you can't get to it? Is that it? Huh? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Avery. Hey. What? It's okay. Forgive me. I guess she doesn't like it when I have my hand like this, apparently. It's unfamiliar. I didn't know that. I didn't know she would react like that. Hey. Okay, sweetie. I'm sorry I spooked you. I thought we were playing. Cats are temperamental. And I am already a witch. Predecessor somehow or another, it seems that you can't become a witch as long as this person doesn't acknowledge you, but I'm different. Even though no one has acknowledged me, I'm an excellent witch already. Since you're my predecessor, I will formally pay you respect, but that's out of kindness, not out of duty. I won't ask for your advice anymore, because I clearly know what I should do and how I should play from now on. So, I will carry the murder of 13 people as a final act of respect for you. However, there is absolutely no reason for you to interfere with the methods I use, or what I do afterwards. Therefore, I'll be counting on you in that regard. Stay out of things. At a glance, those words seem obedient, but they contained within them a clear parting of ways. She was no longer under Beato's care in any way. That's why she was clearly saying nothing more than, don't get in the way of my fun. Beato understood that, and was dejected, realizing that no matter how she explained it, she wouldn't be able to make the witch understand. I see. Then it is no longer my problem. Go and learn with your own body how magic ceases to exist when you lose your respect for it. I wish you'd tell me where the respect was in that carefree rampage of yours up until now. After hearing that, Beato could not respond, because she remembered hearing exactly the same thing from her teacher. Okay now, Jester sisters, see off my predecessor on her way back. Hehehe, predecessor-sama, please leave this place. If you don't, we'll be scolded. Throughout her body, Beato felt something unseeable from the Jester sisters, which could only be described as an oppressive sensation. Most likely, they were initiating firing calculations. It was an action much like taking a gun and cocking it. Even Beato could not escape from the Jester sisters' attacks without any preparation. In the past, she had placed her greatest trust in them, so she knew how terrifying they were down to her very soul. She's used them before too. Predecessor-sama, if he would retire, I would not recommend damaging Beatrice-sama's mood any further. Predecessor-sama, I understand. I shall leave for now. I'll watch over the end you eventually reach at my leisure. Hope Beato's the underdog this time. I don't know if he's going to interact with them. It was almost infinitely close to a parting shot. So after Beato vanished, the witch and her furniture doubled over laughing. It mentions that like Ava can't interact, but that doesn't mean the sisters can't because they're outside and get summoned. I don't know. I don't remember. They'll probably meet him. Well, I do understand. The endless power is fun. The joy of freely toying with an extremely limited life cannot be explained to those who have not tasted it. I can understand that feeling of being possessed with a pleasure similar to drugs. It must have been quite fun, judging by your antics in the past. Are you saying it's just like when you tried to admonish me in the past, over and over, and I did not listen? Why have you started trying to scold that child for her actions? Well... There's a single large difference between you and that child. That child may already be a witch. Of course, you were also a witch. At least in the world on top of the game board. However, to be acknowledged as a witch in the world outside the game board, you need to have Battler-kun, your opponent in this game, acknowledge you. You must have understood that when you started the game. I thought that if I could show off a whirlwind of proof that I'm a witch, pull away his desire to deny me, and make him surrender, he would acknowledge me as a witch. It all went my way last time, so I thought it was just a breath away. It's actually the opposite. Battler-kun was disgusted by your brutality. He did not step up to the plate as a player because he acknowledged you as a worthy opponent. It was based on strong animosity, his resolve to completely deny the existence of a brutal witch. In your foolishness, you probably felt that Battler-kun's acceptance of his role as your opponent was a first step towards making him acknowledge you as a witch. However, it was actually the opposite. Battler-kun challenged you in this game because he was absolutely determined not to acknowledge you. No matter how hard the thoughtless north wind blows, the traveler only wears his cloak even tighter. What's going on, guys? Me. Huh. Hey. Come on. Let's go. Hey. Being grumpy. Come on. Behave. Don't corner your cats. Alright, you can go down, but better. Hey. What are you wrong with me? Deal with it. Alright. Here we go. That one is Juniper. Junie for short. This game is not torture to make Balrog surrender. This one's Allie. Is a test in which you must try to make Balrog accept you. I vaguely noticed that. The last game was a tough one for Balrog. But, as it seems you've already noticed, this game is a tough one for you. What should I do from now on? Think about it for yourself. Fortunately, you've already given up your pieces in the game board to the new witch. You should have plenty of time to reflect upon your old self. But that was already a mess of hostility to me. You won't accept witches, so he won't accept me. You're saying that if the north wind doesn't work, then I should shine on him as the sun from now on? Me, after all this time? It's October now, the Halloween season. It's the month of rebirth, when the sun dies and is revived again. When the sun is weak right after reviving, it may not reach far through the cold winter winds. However, it slowly grows and is eventually able to hail the coming of spring. At that time, the traveler may even hold up his cloak. Are you saying that I've been mistaken? You gotta be nice to Bal, or you gotta flirt with him. Junie, come on. Come on. Oh. She's grumpy, she's causing trouble. The beautiful hall of the Umineko mansion was covered with a golden sparkle like gold leaf, and stained deep red with thick spurts of blood. The number of deaths given to Rudolph and Kitty had long surpassed anything you could count on them, both your fingers and your toes. The witch was breathing so hard her shoulders shook, but it wasn't because she was tired. She just couldn't hide her ragged breath, caused by her uncontainable excitement. Ha ha ha. How fun it is to do as I will with people's lives and deaths. With the power of the Endless Switch, the Endless everything I paint with my mind becomes reality. No matter how sloppily I mash them, I can revive them, returning to the normal with just a snap of my fingers. Because in the end, I just have to restore the corpses and follow the epitaph as an afterthought. Hey, you guys, have you ever sliced a stuffed animal's stomach open? Never, Yee. What about you, 45? No, I've never done it. My apologies. That's understandable. Normally you wouldn't. Especially not if it was a stuffed animal you liked. But I've always thought about it. I always thought about peeking in and seeing what was packed inside this fluffy stuffed animal I loved. If you cut it and looked inside, your curiosity might be quelled, but the stuffed animal would be broken. So even though you want to see, you can't. You understand that feeling, right? The power of the Endless Switch can truly grant that wish. As I am now, I can slice the stuffed animal all I want. And yet, with a bit of magic, I can turn it to normal and revive it. In other words, it means I've broken all limitations in this world. As I am now, I don't have to hesitate or give up an idea or anything. That joy, there's probably no one who can understand it. No one other than me, the Golden Witch. As the witch let out a mad war cry, she revived Rudolph and Curie again. And faster than they could realize it, she killed them right away. And she made it known that something other than cotton was stuffed inside those two. Quit it, Ava. Huh? Ah, it's you. How long have you been there? In the gruesome hall, Hideyoshi appeared with his gun readied. The witch had sealed the mansion with a barrier, so Hideyoshi had nowhere to run. He'd probably picked up Rudolph's or Curie's gun and come back. The gun, which should have been something to be feared, was apparently no longer an object she took seriously now that she was overflowing with magical power. Her bold expression didn't flinch in the slightest. Why did you have to kill Rosa-san and Maria-chan? And Rudolph gun and Kiria-san? Huh? I'm the head of the Ushibita family, the Witch of Rakenjima. Everything that occurs on this island is all up to me. Whether they happen to be alive or dead at any particular moment in time is meaningless to me. You went mad after finding Father's gold. Just how high must that gold have been piled? I can't even imagine it. It must have been enough to steal away your sanity. But if there was that much gold, why didn't you think of graciously split it up? You misunderstand. All of that belongs to the Golden Witch. No one is qualified to touch it except me. What are you? Don't tell me you're that thing Ava told me about long ago. The witch Ava from when she was young? That's right. I'm the me from my years as a girl, who's been living in the heart of your wife, who she made Ava this whole time. And I'm a witch. Ava became an adult by forgetting me, so she can't use magic. All kids get their heads filled with innocent but cruel ideas sometimes. Really? Man. When I was young, I'd sometimes go around stepping on ants and pulling the wings off dragonflies. However, I learned the importance of life and graduated from that cruel childhood age. Right now, you really are a child. Personality that I know Ava graduated from. That personality isn't Ava. It's a completely different human. That's right. I'm not Ushmina Ava. I'm the Golden Witch, Beatrice. It's so fun not being bound by any limitations, and the pleasure of being able to do so as I will with life and death is truly wonderful. Yeah, I've heard of people pulling the legs off like daddy long legs and stuff, but never a dragonfly. That seems like it would be really hard. Hard to catch. I don't have to apologize for breaking a goldfish bowl. I can tear stuffed animals up as much as I want. There was a crisp sound. It was the sound of Hideyoshi slapping the witch's face. Looking at the hall stained deep red with flesh blood, he should have been able to imagine how terrible the witch was. Without fear, without even hesitating, Hideyoshi had walked determinedly up to her and hit her on the cheek. You fool! Don't act like you're cruel, not when you're really a coward and a weakling. I'll correct that evil nature of yours again if I have to. You fool! Fool! Ow, ouch, hey! You're a woman who understands how important, how fragile life is, aren't you? I'll make you remember. What are you calling a witch, you stupid fool? You're my wife, Ushmina Eva. If anything, you're a witch of the kitchen, who can always make the perfect snacks out of a refrigerator leftovers in a flash. Won't you open your eyes, you fool? Didn't I just tell you that I'm not Ushmina Eva? You stupid fool. You. As tears dripped down his face, Hideyoshi kept hitting the witch's head. He wasn't even pointing the gun at her anymore. Therefore, that sound of gunfire couldn't have come from the gun Hideyoshi was holding. The gun, which had fallen in the corner near Rodolph's corpse, was floating in the air, and smoke lingered near the barrel. The bullet, a red stain, was slowly spreading across the chest section of Hideyoshi's vest. Even though his back was facing the barrel of the gun, the bullet had driven through Hideyoshi's chest. Ava. Ugh. Like I said, I'm not Ava. But a stupid, annoying man. You're a pain, so I'll switch the sacrifice of the Sith's Twilight to you. If only you just hidden under some bed shaking or something, I planned on letting you go. But no, you went to the trouble of coming back. You really are a stupid man. Aw, we lost another good character. There was a dull sound as Hideyoshi fell to the floor. Even though death would have allowed him to escape from that pain, he resisted until the last second. And staring straight into the witch's eyes, he passed away. As he died without closing his eyes, the witch didn't realize that he was dead for a short while, and remained pinned by that gaze. Should we make this one a new toy and play? Hee. At those words, the witch finally realized that Hideyoshi was dead. Yeah. Right. What do we do? The Chiester sisters waited for instructions. On the inside, they imagined the sorts of even more brutal orders their master might give. But the expression that rose to the witch's face looked as though she'd gotten over her excitement. She looked down at Hideyoshi's face, which still had tears dripping down it. It's such a killjoy. It's all this guy's fault. I'm done. Wanabe, are you there? Yes, right here. Take care of the cleanup. I'll bet the predecessor someone makes a fuss over this one. Please make it clean enough for that old hag to accept. I guess I'll follow the rules of the ceremony, out of a sense of obligation to my predecessor someone. Treat these 3 corpses as the fourth through 6th twilights. Lucifer, it's your turn. Lucifer replied, right here. Dig into these 3 corpses and gouge them. Into corpses? That's right. Got a problem with that? No. The 7 sisters of Purgatory had their own sort of pride. It was the pride of a hunter, the pride of gouging prey that they'd brought down themselves. However, being told to gouge a corpse that someone else had brought down ran contrary to that sentiment. Of course, the witch didn't mean it that way, but for the 7 sisters, it was horribly humiliating. Or they had already screwed this up with 2 of the sisters defeated, so they had no right to question her. Only Ronave appreciated this, and he rested his hand on her shoulder in understanding. This is an order from Beatrice-sama. Lucifer, carry these 3 and dispose of them in accordance with the etiquette of the ceremony. Then, when you are done, lend me a hand with the cleanup. Certainly. The witch looked down upon Hideyoshi's corpse, as though implying that now delicate atmosphere was all Hideyoshi's fault. Stupid man. And you didn't even have to die. but unfortunately he did. Dear. Ah. Dear, where are you? You're there, right? Answer me. The crash of a thunderbolt woke Ava from her nightmare. If Hideyoshi had been gripping her hand at that time, her fearful heart would probably have been instantly healed. However, Hideyoshi, who had supposedly sworn that he wouldn't leave even for a moment, was nowhere to be seen in the room. Dear, answer me. Dear. Ah. How unfortunate. How does Ava really work into this, though? It's a question to be asked, for sure. That's enough Umineko for the day, so